It's Monday, November 12th, and time for your Barbados Today morning news update. Thanks for joining us. I'm Frenella Wedderburn. Workers at the state-owned Transport Board are seeking clarity on its future. They aired their concerns at a 3-hour-long meeting with their bargaining agent, the Barbados Workers Union, at Solidarity House last evening after getting an update on government's proposals on the future of the board and that of public transport. Veteran trade unionist and BWU consultant Sir Roy Trotman said while government's vision was not yet cast in stone, workers were worried about the way ahead and their role at the board.
There are very general comments which are going towards making for a government vision of the transport system that will be the revised Barbados Transport Board. We have indicated that the government's plan, among other things, might seek to make those workers who currently work for the Transport Board, make them into private individuals, either as members of smaller groups working in a cooperative arrangement, or as their own body of entrepreneurs set up in different ways to manage, organize, and run transport and related services. That was discussed very bluntly by the workers, who have a number of challenges with that. They find it terribly objectionable.
Sir Roy says the BWU will put together a proposal from the workers' perspective, outlining a vision on public transport, which will be presented to the board's management.
We hope that we shall be able, in short order, to meet with the management of the Transport Board, the political directorate of the Transport Board, and the Ministry of Transport, and to discuss what we would perceive, both philosophically and from the point of view of a program, what might be a workable arrangement for having public transport addressed in a manner that would satisfy the traveling public.
The University of the West Indies cannot continue with its current funding model if it is to remain a strong and effective partner in the development of the region. So says former Prime Minister Owen Arthur, who maintains that the current funding model merely serves to deepen the institution's precarious financial position. Speaking at the Cave Hill campus's Alumni Symposium held at the weekend, Arthur disclosed that regional governments owed the university in excess of $200 million. He said the university was in no position to write off or to provide significant cuts on those arrears since it does not have the reserves. Arthur said the UWI must devise and put to work new cost-sharing arrangements such as bonds that can enable it to prevent its existing financial situation from becoming even more dire.
Issue a bond which will be backed by the pool of resources that is owed to it by the government. Governments will then in turn provide a payment plan as how they can honor their receivables, those receivables not at one fell swoop, but over time, and would be required as responsible governments to legislate the payment plans as a means towards giving security of the arrears. Once this is in place, the university can use it to enhance the security of the bond that it will put to the capital market.
Barbados and the rest of the region are being lauded for being war-free zones for many years. The commendation from Prime Minister Mia Mottley, who said such an accomplishment must be shared with the rest of the world. Speaking to Barbados's legionnaires and their relatives at St. Anne's Fort yesterday, following the Remembrance Day parade, Ms. Mottley said regrettably there are signs which remind the country of the need to fight harder for the preservation of peace, love, and harmony.
I have maintained for some time that we in the Caribbean have a story to tell to the rest of the world. That we could have seen the evolution of our societies over the course of the last 75 to 80 years without the level of bloodshed that other countries have seen is a remarkable story. That we can have people of different races, of different classes, of different genders, of different persuasions, of different religions, live in the smallest possible places without the kind of isms and schisms and wars and violence that we see elsewhere in the world, is a story to share with the rest of the world. And we must not be shy because of our size. Ours is a credible voice. Ours is a mighty voice. But in addition to that voice, ours has also been.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
In news from the region, the data recorder and cockpit voice recorder have been recovered as investigations continue into the emergency landing of a Fly Jamaica airline in Guyana on Friday. The Boeing 757 aircraft with 118 adults and 2 infants on board was forced to return to the Chedi Jagan International Airport 45 minutes after its departure for Canada due to technical difficulties. 6 people were injured during the incident. More in this report from Capital News.
Head of the Civil Aviation Authority, Egbert Field, said 2 items which are very important to the Fly Jamaica aircraft accident at the Chedi Jagan International Airport this morning, the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder, have been secured.
We'll try to get that out as soon as possible. And we'll do this either by FedEx or UPS. But we'll look to maybe send it out, if not today, tomorrow, but to get to the NTSB by Monday. There's a process for the black box to be read. Really, they're pink boxes. One is a cockpit voice recorder and the other is a flight data recorder. The flight data recorder is a lot easier to deal with when it comes to decoding. The cockpit voice recorder takes a little more time, and that is why I said this investigation will take a little time, because you'll have to talk about, or we'll have to inject into the area where the pilots, the lingo, and all of that from the cockpit voice recorder, and that could take weeks. So we'll try to get that out quickly.
And finally, on the international scene, residents urged to heed evacuation orders as 2 deadly wildfires, fueled by what is being described as devil winds, tore through opposite ends of California on Sunday.
The destruction and desperation intensifying in California Sunday, where hot, dry, so-called devil winds are fueling 2 giant deadly wildfires at opposite ends of the state. Northeast of Sacramento, the ferocious campfire has killed at least 23 people, with more than 100 missing. California Governor Jerry Brown has requested a major disaster declaration from President Trump, who on Twitter Sunday called for proper forest management to stop the devastation. Since igniting Thursday, the wildfire has destroyed more than 67,000 homes and businesses in the town of Paradise, the most ever on record in California history. The flames came so fast, many residents were forced to abandon their vehicles and run for their lives down the only road out of town.
Almost looked like an apocalypse.
Police say they found several bodies in or near burned-out cars. Hundreds of miles south, near the wealthy oceanside community of Malibu, at least 2 people died from the Woolsey fire, which doubled in size from Friday night into Sunday.
And that report from Reuters Television brings us to the end of your morning news update. But for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good morning.